Hello, welcome to the Joe Cortez Show here in Las Vegas, Nevada, the entertainment capital of the world. Of course, you know, my heart is very close when it comes to healthcare, because without help, we're nobody. We fail, but we have no help. Anyway, today, I have my dear friend, my co-host today, Virginia Pacheco, who will be talking to you about healthcare as far as your mind is concerned, because without good mental
habits
happening, you're a failure. Right. So we want to make sure that you get to that next level. That's why we have you on the show with us. So welcome with us again, Virginia. Tell us a little bit about, there's people in life that sometimes are kind of confused because they don't know where they're going, especially their character. Can you tell us a little bit about character in people in general?
Sure. You know, Joe, I honestly has come to my attention a lot lately that we don't realize that our activities build our character. Mm-hmm. So when you lie to yourself, or you lie to others, or you just don't keep your word, that becomes your character, and that also affects your mindset and affects your health. So the idea of building your character, it really takes step-by-step actions in order to build that character. And I think sometimes we don't realize that, and it doesn't even mean lying to other people. It's like, I'm not going to do this today, and then you do it. That then becomes part of your character. So I guess what I want to talk about as far as health goes is, you know, not worrying so much about what everyone else is doing, but how are you building your own character with your own actions, so you're keeping your word to yourself. Because integrity within yourself affects your body as well. So I think that's how healthcare and character and integrity work together.
That makes sense. You know, one of the things I realize in people is that they don't have self-confidence.
Yes.
You know, and that holds you back a lot.
Yes.
You got to believe in yourself to make sure that you get ahead. Some folks just think like, I can't do this, I can't do that. And that's what really ticks me off, because I hate to see people think negatively.
Yeah.
I always, I don't care, like I said before, in the past, other shows, put anything in front of me, I'll do it.
Yeah.
There's no holding me back, you know, because I have confidence in myself. And I think it's the way that you're being brought up. Maybe you're told that you have this, or you're not a good-looking person, or you cockeyed, or whatever they want to say about you.
Yeah.
That's not right. You start believing all these bad things people are saying about you. When in the real world, you got to look at yourself in the mirror and say, hey, I'm pretty. Like Muhammad Ali just said, look at me, I'm pretty.
I love it. That is so true. So how do you feel like you learned to build your own confidence? Like, you had to get in the ring, you knew that potentially you could get hurt. So what do you think it takes to build self-confidence?
Well, you know, one of the things that helped me a lot was in sports. I got to play baseball. Me with stickball in the streets in New York. The park was so far away. Well, Central Park wasn't that far, but we didn't have the tools of baseball bats and the gloves and the hard balls, so we played stickball in the street with a broomstick and a Spalding ball, and we got to be really good at it. I said, wow, that's not bad. Then, so, you know, we're playing basketball. We make our own little hoops playing basketball, and we felt, hey, I'm pretty good at that. You got to build your self-confidence. And your friends say, no, I want Joe on my team because Joe is a hustler. He knows how to play ball, or he can do anything, you know. And this is what that builds up your confidence. But you got to believe in yourself. You know, when I started boxing in the amateurs, I was in the gym, the Golden Gloves. I was in the boys club, the Golden Glove tournaments, and I started winning the Golden Glove championships at the age of 16 in Madison Square Garden. And I said to myself, well, I became champion, you know. And that makes you feel like really special. So you start believing in yourself. And that's where it all started back in the day. Believe in yourself and say to yourself, you know, I can do it. If that guy can do it, I can do it too as well.
Yeah. You know what I love about what you said really is that it's a process. So one step at a time. First you started with stickball, then you start with baseball. So I think that's important for people to understand that confidence is built, especially if you weren't born with it naturally. Some of us just have natural confidence. But I think what's key is that every day you're contributing and having little wins in order to build your confidence.
Right, right. I really truly believe in that. I think that today, I'm looking at the news this morning about the kid in Michigan who shot those kids in school. I said to myself, something was going on with that kid, 15 years of age, but then I got to stop and think, wait a minute, how did he get the gun? The parents bought him the gun, you see? Now, there was no need for that kid to have a gun at the age of 15. I mean, get a 9mm for what? You know? So now the kid, yeah, the kid is guilty, but where did it start? You know? How were the parents at home? Now, the parents got charged today with involuntary manslaughter, meaning that they're also liable because the prosecutor looked at it like, well, the kid would have never done this if you didn't do that. So why buy him a gun? Now he goes into the school, goes into the principal's office with the parent. They call the parents at school. And these are things that go wrong. Something's happening at home. And this is how can you address that to people, the viewers out there, got kids, and the parents, how can we help these parents out there so that these kids don't fall, go under the bus?
That goes back to what we said last week, childhood conditioning. I think setting an example is one of the best ways, keeping your word to your kids, showing them what integrity looks like, because they're watching you whether you think they are or they're not, and really being mindful of taking care of yourself, being aware of your actions so you know what you're really putting on your kids. And on top of that, actually get involved with them. Ask them questions because they're not you, even though you gave birth to them. Start digging in with your kid and finding out what's going on in there. And, I have no idea what those parents were thinking when they gave him a gun, but I'm guaranteed they weren't spending quality time with him to figure out what's making his brain tick. And maybe he was getting bullied at school before that. I don't really know. But I think being aware of yourself and then teaching by example is a thing that you can definitely do.
Yeah, I think that teaching by example is the right way to go because I tell you what's happening these days is that these kids don't have a role model to look up to. A lot of these kids, they come from broken homes, and I grew up with a single parent. My mother raised us, and we came out okay. There was 4 of us. We came out okay. Never any trouble whatsoever. So I got to wonder what goes on the head of one kid at home. What goes on with these parents? What are they thinking? Are they doing drugs, the parents? Are they drinking? And the kids see all these things going on. I mean, they come home, there's fights going on in the house, and the kids get old. You see little kids growing up in a family where the father, the mother are constantly fighting because they're either intoxicated, they're not thinking right, and these kids now are in trouble because now these kids grow up the same way, thinking that my mother and father do it, I can do it as well.
Yeah, I agree, and never making assumptions because we assume the kid is fine or we're not paying attention. I think just being present, like you said, and I'm no one to judge what you do in your home, but just know they're watching, and so whatever you're doing, they can see.
Exactly. There comes time when you feel like something is wrong. You want to exhale. You want to feel like, please let it all be over. I mean, what's happening today with the pandemic, with the virus, there's so much going on. People are wearing the mask all day long. You're locked in the house. You can't get out. There's a lot of problems that are building up in our minds. How can you help telling people out there about how to handle themselves during this crisis?
I think for one, there's a lot of disconnection going on. I think the pandemic has increased separation, lack of, connection with the people that you want to be around. So I think, one thing we can do is just remembering to stay connected. And that's not only via social media or the telephone, actually expressing love and putting our arms around those people that we care about and not allowing these disagreements. Did you get the vaccination? Didn't you? Who do you like politically? And just coming back to the core of love and respect for each other. I think we've kind of lost touch of that with media and social media. I think bringing it back to the basics, love, plant good seeds, water those seeds. Like there's a lot of that missing nowadays.
Yeah, I feel like you're 100% right because I feel that there's not enough love out there. I mean, when I was growing up, we always loved our neighbors, we respected our neighbors. We never talked back to our neighbors. We respect our elderlies, like if they were our own parents. And today, these kids go around, they're beating up on old people, old ladies walking down the street for no particular reason. I mean, where's their character? What happens? I mean, I just don't get it. If there's a lot of people out there, like myself, I'm confused about what's going on in this world. And I hate to see my my grandchildren grow up in that type of environment.
I agree with you completely. And I think as much as we want to help our community, the one biggest thing you can do for your community is keep yourself healthy mentally, physically, being mindful of your thoughts and your actions, because you could be out there feeding the homeless, being generous, but then you're being unkind in your home, unkind to your children, unkind to your friends. So I think we should all get back in our own driver's seat and just take a look at our own actions and start there.
I truly believe that. I think that that a show like this is so important. That's why when I met you and you started talking to me about what you do in life with this coach awareness, it's something important, because I think that you folks out there listening, you see that probably one of my better co-hosts on the show, because we're talking about topics that can touch every single one of us. Whether you're good or bad, it's going to touch you in a way that you'll learn from this, because we all need some kind of help. I don't care how smart you are and where your mindset is at, but we have to reach out sometimes for help, all of us.
Yeah, and I think for me, my role is really just asking good questions. I'm not here to judge anyone of what they do. I don't know what their life has been up until that point. But what I do ask people to do is get curious in your own life. Start asking yourself, what do I truly believe? Is that something my parents believed? Do I believe that now? And I think if we start getting more curious about our own thoughts and feelings, we can get ourselves in the right direction. And I think being kind with other people and trying not to judge them either, because we don't know where they've been. So like you said, to your point, love to me is always the answer. Love yourself, love others, and then just stay in the question. Because the minute we think we know for sure, we stop getting curious.
Exactly. It's like I told boxing referees, we are to learn, even a fighter, you're in there, you have a trainer. The reason why you have a trainer is not that you, sometimes some fighters or referees, anybody in life, they think they know it all, and that's where you're making that mistake. That's why it's like you're putting on your brakes. You don't know it all. We always room for improvement to get better in everything you do in life. And I think that that's what's happening in this world, that the kids are not putting in enough time to learn how to love and how to care for each other and respect one another. That's what we're lacking, I think. The kids too much on the computer games, wasting a lot of time there, where they should be taking, maybe have classes about educating about feelings, treating people with respect. Respect your parents at home. A lot of kids out there, they cuss out their parents like there's no tomorrow. I can't believe the way these kids handle themselves. I know a young lady who's a school bus driver, and she told me, Joe, I don't know why I got this job, but this is the toughest job because these kids don't respect at all. They cuss at me, they come out to the bus, they make her life miserable. And she says, I don't know how these kids, how they're being brought up at home. Who trains these kids? There's no training at home. So they're out there they're crazy. And those are the kids that become murderers later on in life. They do the wrong things in life, and then you wonder why our jails are so full.
Yeah. I just think there's a lot of anger and resentment, and that stems from lots of different things. But just to reflect back on what you said about the fighters, I think when they're in the ring, they're taught and they have to listen and they have to grow, but they also have to follow their intuition. And I think a lot of times children have their own intuitions, but then their parents aren't listening. And then they trying to force the kid to go against that. And that's where some of that anger and resentment can come from. So I think we need to listen to each other. Even though they're smaller and they have to follow our rules, still listening and seeing what's coming up so we know we're addressing the right thing, and then they wouldn't be running around so angry.
Yeah, I truly believe that, because I think the discipline you start teaching these kids when they're 2 years old, you got to start teaching them.
Yeah.
Because they kind of understand already at the age of 2.
Sure.
And that's how you break them in. But I think if you let them go too far,
sure,
and they become a young teenager, they have no direction. They want to think what they're doing, they think is right. They go stealing, they beat up people, they do different things. Anybody with a normal mindset, with respect, and they teach you how to live the right way in life, is the only way you're going to make it. But if you continue with these negative thoughts, these teenagers are going to be terrible in the future. I see no good direction, nothing positive for these kids if they're not straightened out at home, where it begins.
Yeah. I think there's a big confusion between what freedom is and what discipline is. I was reading a book this morning by Brendan Burchard, and he was talking about that. And we think freedom means that we can just do whatever we want. But actually, freedom is in discipline, and disciplining your mind, disciplining yourself, so that you can have those freedoms. I just think there's a big misconception about freedom, because if you're too free and you eat and drink and fight and do angry anytime you feel like it, that doesn't really produce the life of freedom that you're looking for. And I think teaching our children and even ourselves by example, showing some discipline is something that is lacking right now. We think we should just be able to do whatever we want whenever we want.
Question, as far as anger is concerned, a lot of us get angry for whatever reason. Some get angry for nothing at all. You wake up angry in the morning. And some people are just as mellow as can be. Me, I don't like to fight with anyone. I hate arguments. I don't want to disagree with somebody, because that can trigger maybe getting more upset as you keep talking about it. Something doesn't go right with your partner or whomever you're talking to. It's best to try to agree with them, even though you disagree, but not get into a fight. How can you control your mind not to be in that anger situation?
I honestly think that part of anger has to do with you not being honest with yourself and you being out of alignment and then repressing those feelings. All anger goes back to fear. So when we're afraid, we get angry because we don't know how to deal with our emotions. So being honest with yourself and starting to address the things that are bothering you or hurting you before it gets to anger, I think is where it's at. Because once you're at angry, now something's been festering. So to answer your question, how do you avoid anger? Be honest with yourself, communicate clearly, and respect other people's boundaries and your own, because anger is just misplaced fear.
Yeah, I truly agree with that. I think that parents has a lot to do with that, of how you're brought up. If you little kids, you see them in the playpen, and they start the tantrum, they get all upset about a little thing. That's where you got to start controlling them. Because I've seen adults, so out of hand, where they go crazy doing stupid things. That man that led 2 weeks ago, a man who took the car in the parade and killed, I don't know how many people he killed out there on a Thanksgiving Day parade. How can somebody, the mentality of that person? That person, he should have been locked up because he had a long criminal record.
Sure.
But he was out there, an adult who has anger, and he was every day waking up with anger. It's not the first time he tried to kill somebody with a car. And he tried to kill other people, I think his own mother or somebody.
Yeah.
And the mental health is so important.
Yeah,
seeing a psychiatrist, I think, is important.
Yeah.
Even though you hate to think about it, but sometimes you have to go see a psychiatrist, see somebody with mental health, or somebody like yourself to coach these people in the right direction.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to reach out to you for some help, where can they reach you?
Well, there's several different ways. I'm on Instagram at awarenesscoach33. You can call and make an appointment, 702-501-1640. I also have a website, awarenesscoach.net. To your point, barring mental illness, because that's a different subject, but I think sometimes what happens is we think because we're aging in number that we've actually matured, but sometimes we have little 6 or 7-year-olds running in our head that we've never matured up. I have a friend I was just talking to yesterday, and she's in probably her 60s, but this 6-year-old little girl who's afraid to be alone, who has fear and anger, is running the show. So I think sometimes we have to really start to address that immature side of our mindset to grow it up along with our age, because just because you're aging doesn't mean you're maturing. And I think that people don't spend enough time taking a look at their internal maturity. That guy sounded like he was a little bit off balance and not healthy, but for the normal person, there's buried fears inside of us that are really dictating our actions that we don't want to look at because they're painful. So I think, like Awareness Coach, starting to become aware of who's really running the show in there. Right.
Now, if you have a relationship with someone, and some people they call it jealous, and there's jealousy inside of them. What causes somebody to be jealous?
I think lack of self-confidence. I think
Right.
someone who's not confident in themselves and they have the ability to project their fear onto others or their expectations onto others, they tend to be jealous. I was jealous when I was younger. It was a habit that I literally had to work on my own self-confidence, on my own self-worth, to realize that you can't control what other people do anyways. So stay in your lane, keep working on you. To answer your question, I think lack of self-confidence is where jealousy comes from.
Exactly. Now, when you get that jealousy inside of you, sometimes it's hard to get
It is.
to get away because you're brought up that way.
Yep.
You never had nobody to guide you.
Sure.
And then finally, when you come to the point where you find somebody like yourself who can say, well, you know what? That's what I'm here for. That's what I was trained for, to help people like yourself. You know, that jealousy is one bad thing. That jealousy could turn into anger,
Yep.
and anger could
Yep.
turn into
Violence.
violence,
Yep.
and violence can then
Sure.
turn out to be crime. But you can, before you know it, you're hurting somebody using, which is terrible.
Yeah.
Which is what we don't want to get to. That's where people end up getting
Yeah,
hurt
hurt.
or getting killed for whatever reason.
Sure.
You know, that's where they need some help.
And I think that comes down to choice, right? Sometimes your jealousy is warranted. Someone actually is trying to pull the wool over your eyes.
Right.
But then you have to choose to do and keep your boundaries and literally separate yourself from that person then. Because if you continue to just be jealous and then they're actually doing something and you don't honor yourself, that's a problem. So I don't think jealousy has a place on occasion because some people do dishonest things, but we have choices whether we're going to put up with that or not. So if you see those behaviors, it's your choice, it's your right to make decisions to keep yourself safe.
Yeah. A lot of people, they believe in God and they say they want to go to God and ask God to help them out. But yeah, you got to help yourself.
You have to action.
You got to take the action yourself upon yourself. You look in the mirror and say, wait a minute, I'm not going to take none of this no more.
Yep.
You know, I'm going to go forward. There's another chapter in my life. I'm going to move forward and keep going doing what I got to do to keep me happy.
And having the confidence to do that.
Exactly.
I deserve to be happy. I'm going to go find my happiness. And if you don't want to give that to me or share your life with me in an honest way, then I'm sorry, I love you, but I've got to go.
That's it. I love you, but I got to go.
Well, I've got to go.
I love that. I love that.
I love you, but I got to go. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, well, that's the way life is sometimes, and we have to understand that there's always a new beginning. If you really focus and say to yourself, I have to get my life together. I got to get the right people in my life. And sometimes God will give you things, but sometimes God will take things away from you for your own good.
And we're co-creating with whatever your God is. It doesn't matter what word you want to use, but you have to show up to your life in order to get that assistance as well.
Right.
So I think just remembering that you are captain of your ship as well on this earth, and we're co-creating with the one above. So be present for your own life.
I tell you that those words that you're using right now are words of knowledge and wisdom, because that's what people want to see. People want to listen to you because you show that you know so much, and people want to learn. They all want to learn out there, how can I better myself? Every day you look in the mirror and say, I got to be better today than I was yesterday, but I want to be better tomorrow. You know, keep thinking about how can I just keep making my life more easy for myself and for those around me and for those that I love,
Sure.
to make sure they're all happy as well. So it's not only yourself, but those around you that in your circle that you have to keep happy as well. So you have to kind of think twice about them and think about yourself.
Yeah, and I think always growing and maturing and changing, because sometimes I read an article about this, you hear people say, well, this is just the way that I am. Well, really, who really just stays the way they are? We would all be 5-year-olds then. So I think taking the responsibility as an adult, realizing that this is how I am right now, but it's really our task here is to keep growing, maturing, learning, and growing. And if you're not, you're stagnant. So I just, that excuse of, well, this is the way that I am, to me is something immature, and we could all use self-development and growing as we age.
You know, when I was a fighter, I learned that in life that you can get knocked down, but you have to get back up.
Get back up.
You know, all champions get up and keep fighting. Don't give up. You can't give up on yourself.
Yep.
Because there's always a better tomorrow. And I think that you folks out there listening, you know what I'm talking about when I say there's a better tomorrow. Don't ever just think about me being a loser and never coming back. I may lose, but I'll learn from my mistakes, and I want to be better. So next time around, I'll just continue fighting. The next round, I'm coming out stronger than I ever did before in my life. And that's why I think we all got to think positive, think of being a champion. Think of being a champion not only in the ring, but outside the ring as well, to be the best at what you do. What do you think about that?
I say that that's an amazing perspective, and that is why you're so successful in your life, because bad things happen to people, bad things happen to good people, but it's how we perceive those things and choose to get up, like you said, and keep fighting. Because my understanding, the biggest miracle is a shift in perspective. So even if things look really dim, it's what your perspective on that situation that can get you out of that situation. And I love that you're a fighter and you get up and keep on going, because really, that's what we have to do, and to shift our perspective and keep shifting and shifting until we, arrive.
Exactly. Well, I think that you're going to, you're talking about shifting, going to that second gear, and third gear, fourth gear, you keep going. Every day you keep going forward. Don't look at that rear view mirror. We got to keep going forward, because there is so much that we can learn every day, so much we want to do to make our lives better, but also think about your loved ones, your significant other. What are you going to do next? You want to keep everybody happy, show your children, your grandchildren, the kind of person you are. You're the leader. You're the role model for them. They want to look up to you as somebody that I really appreciate, I love, I care for, and I want to make sure that they respect me, but they have to respect themselves by the same token.
Yeah, well, show them what happy looks like. Be a happy person.
I'm happy.
Exactly.
Happy can be. I was down and out last year. This last year was my worst year of my whole life, but I'm coming back because I'm happy.
Absolutely. I mean, that's really the best thing you can do for yourself and for your children, is to just be happy, find your happiness, shine your light. I mean, that's what's important.
That's right. I truly believe that you have to really say to yourself, my life is important, but other people around me are the ones that make me feel also wanted, important, because we love people. I love people, and I want to make sure that people love me in return. But the thing is to be honest, be faithful, and believe that you can make it no matter what. Nobody's keeping me down for the full count. It never happened. Never did, never will.
And that to me is your internal compass, right? We know the world's a little bit shooken up right now. It hasn't been the best year or two for a lot of people. But what the world can't take away from us is our own inner thinking, our own concepts. And you obviously are a happy person. And really, the only one that can change that is you. I don't care what the external circumstance is, you control your internal compass. So just being mindful of that, you're in charge of that. Even if someone does something bad, it's how you can keep your own balance for yourself.
I truly believe in that. I believe that meeting new people and new ideas in life, it keeps me more focused in knowing that there is a tomorrow. There are better things ahead. Like I look at the horizon. I look on the horizon. I can see a lot of good things that are coming. Not only for myself, but the reason why we have this show together like this, because I feel that you guys out there can take some good advice from a veteran like myself. I've been around the block a couple of times, so I know a little bit more than most people out there. But there's always room for improvement. And I thought that bringing Virginia Pacheco on the show, and you can see her number on there when you got to reach out to her, that she'll get back to you and give you all her experiences, whatever she can to help you get on the right track, because this is what we need in life. We need people to guide us, because we're not perfect.
I agree, and I'm so grateful to be here, and I really love helping people as well, and I know that they hold the answers. I don't know everything, but I can support you in pulling it out of yourself what is best, because at the end of the day, you know you, so I'm always happy to guide people back to themselves. That's my goal, because no one knows everything, but you do know you, so that's my role, is to help pull that out of you.
Yes, a lot of people out there are kind of confused with themselves. They don't know what direction to take, where to go. They need help, especially at these times with this pandemic that's out there. A lot of us are lost. I mean, really lost. I had the willpower to come back. I mean, I saw the other side. When I was in the hospital with COVID for 5 months in the hospital, and that was tough. I'm talking about taking a beating, taking a pounding. I took it all, but I refused to stay down. I kept coming back. Every day and thanks to all my friends out there, all my fans around the world that were reaching out to me, praying for me, and telling me, or sending me so many messages to stay strong and come back again because we need you. Well, you know what? I needed you too. That's why I didn't want to go, because I wanted to be sure that I can still help you out, after all this pandemic situation that's going on or went on with my life. And now it's time for me to pay it forward to make sure we keep going on the right direction, because all of us need some help. I don't care how good you are or how bad you are, we got to get you on the right track. And that's why Virginia Pacheco and myself are here to help guide you, keep you focused, and keep you doing the good things in life, because life is very special to us.
Yeah, for sure. And holidays are upon us right now, and so I think loneliness is a topic right now. And if I can give a suggestion, if you feel lonely, go give to someone else, because just giving to other people can also fulfill you as well. So, stay cheerful during these holiday times and know that you're loved.
Yeah, I think it's very special that we enjoy ourselves during these holidays, because these holidays are tough, but we're here to stay, and we're going to make it very positive for you in the months to come, the years ahead. We'll make our life go forward. And remember that we're here every week to talk about different topics on healthcare. And today's show with Virginia Pacheco was very special. Thank you, Virginia, for being on the show.
Thank you, Joe. I totally appreciate being here.
We'll see you guys next week.